It's time for a reset. And resets usually come at the beginning of the year, which has, it's a popular time because it's like it's the new year and people have all these grand plans and expectations and they have a lot of hope with good intentions for the year. Traditionally, I think that's kind of when we reset, but I'm finding out that I need to do a reset now, like a major reset. And we're only in June. This is the time where, for me, the year winds down because the school year has come to an end. And I have been looking forward to the year ending since I think the maybe mid-January, early February, the school year, not the annual year. The end of the year is always nice as well, but it's like you're in the middle of the school year. So I'm not in the middle of the school year, but my kids are, and I'm in the middle of my homeschooling year. So it's nice to have that like couple of weeks to kind of reset, but I know it's not like the major reset. The major reset for me comes in June. So all things were winding down the past month and there was so much going on. My daughter turned 18. She had all things senior year. She had of course, senior graduation, but leading up to that, there was award ceremony because she graduated with honors. She had grad night, which for some reason, grad night, we had to pick the kids up I say we as in parents. It was I had to pick up because my husband was out of town. So I had to pick her up at 3:30 in the morning. I had to drive across town and pick her up at 3:30 in the morning, and I had to, like, schlep my kids along with me, my boys who were asleep, but it's been a lot, So we had 18th birthday party, so we had all of that to plan and execute, and we have family to help us get that together on the day of. And birthday party was really nice. But I think the birthday and graduation were the two things that I was really looking at like uh a source of power drain. Like I knew those things would kind of like drain me. And it wasn't so much the graduation in itself. It was, I guess, everything that had to deal with the graduation. But the birthday party, I knew I really don't like planning parties because it takes a lot of energy and it takes a lot. I think the problem for me is that with my ADHD, um, I tend to not organize things well, or I can organize on paper, or for me, it's actually digital. I don't do much paper organization. I do everything digitally, and I can organize the heck out of a schedule or whatever, but it's when it comes to the execution and time management, that's where I fall short. And also, what is it? Task initiation. So I've got all the things lined up that I need to do. I can even put them into a time slot, but task initiation seems to be extremely difficult for me. So I knew like the party because we'd have to cook and I baked a cake and all of those things that it was going to be stressful. And I used to bake a lot and I hadn't baked in quite a while. And I was really nervous about the cake and for good reason because I'm looking at my old recipes. I had created a recipe, and the recipe that I made for the cake was it used pastry flour. And for some reason, I could not find any pastry flour except whole wheat pastry flour. And I knew that wasn't what I needed to do. So I experimented trying regular all purpose flour and cake flour. I should have just done all cake flour. I I don't know. The cake was okay. It was not anything that I like anything reminiscent of the baker that I used to be. So I needed to practice some more. But I'm going off on a tangent here. But it's just something that I was nervous about because I hadn't done it in a while. And I knew that I needed to try since I was changing the recipe. I needed to try it first. And I didn't do that, which I should have. But oh well. So anyhow, there was a lot of anxiety around that. We're having a party and we're doing the party somewhere else. So we're going to have to take our things to someone else's house and set up and do all that and get ready and host and all the things. Also in there somewhere, there was Mother's Day, Father's Day. I had a birthday. My husband had a birthday. So all this, like in the past month, we had just all these things in the past month. So it was a lot, and my nervous system now needs to recover, and I am feeling exhausted. So I knew that I wanted to get away for a couple of days. And my husband and I planned a trip, like a last minute trip. When I say last minute, we kind of planned it the day before. We had an idea. We want to go here, but which was Santa Barbara, but we hadn't like done any kind of planning or anything. We have a place that we normally stay at, but we decided to stay somewhere else. And, just even trying to plan that was overwhelming. Oh, and I didn't even mention in that too, and all the things that we have done over the past month, I also planned a trip to take my daughter to Paris for her graduation. And while that is very exciting, the whole planning part of it is exhausting for me. I had to look for flights, and then I spent like an entire maybe day and a half trying to find somewhere for us to stay. And because it's summer, it is harder to find um places that I mean, that just the pick of the litter is usually gone, and I was looking for, like, a 10-day stay somewhere, so that also narrows my results down, and, I was having trouble finding somewhere, but I did find somewhere, but that like, that alone exhausted me. When I was looking for places in Santa Barbara, I spent, like, several hours looking for that, and I was just exhausted. I just felt overwhelmed. Like, all the choices and reading reviews and is this the right place? Is the location walkable? All these things I was doing for both locations. I did for Paris and I also did that again for Santa Barbara. And I felt the same both times. I just felt very overwhelmed, almost to the point where it was like, maybe I shouldn't take this trip because it is like just exhausting me mentally. But anyhow, forged on, my husband actually found a place and we booked that place. And it turned out to be a really lovely, like just bed and breakfast. It was very homey and it had a nice little view of the mountain. And we had a balcony. So it was really nice. It was really quaint. It's a tiny little room, but it was really nice. And we were just surrounded in a beautiful neighborhood. It was quiet and the neighborhood was beautiful. Everyone had green grass and just beautiful wildflowers. I mean, oh my God, people's gardens, and not even just the garden, just on the sidewalk, the wildflowers that were growing. It was just amazing to me how beautiful and peaceful it was, and how great I felt being there, just having a few days to get away and reset. And I realized in being there, because I usually think like, "Oh, if I get away on a trip and we spend all this money, we need to do stuff. We need to do. We need to pack it in with all the stuff that we're doing because we need to make it worthwhile. We traveled here and we spent money to get here. Now we can't just do nothing." But when we got there, I didn't feel very much like doing a whole lot. Just wanted to kind of relax. I mean, we walked around the downtown area and some other areas. I mean, to me, that was enough doing, like just walking around and discovering new places and looking at the architecture and just the neighborhoods, the flowers, the gardens. Like that was really kind of all that I needed to just kind of like reset. And it felt really, really good. It felt really good. I remember like laying in bed one morning and I was just thinking like I could just lay here and be fine. I don't feel the need to get up and do anything. And it was so quiet and serene, and I realized how much of that I'm missing at home in my home, like in my neighborhood, the home in my neighborhood. The city is so loud. And I don't know if it has gotten louder or it is just I'm more aware of it now because it didn't bother me so much when I was younger, except for maybe when my kids were little. And then at some point, an ice cream truck started to, circle in our neighborhood that had never been there before. But I remember when my daughter was little, I wanted to murder the ice cream truck guy because he would come at like 8 p.m. and my daughter would be sleeping, and it was driving me crazy. But that's the only thing that I really remember that bothered me about the sounds. And so now, there are all sorts of sounds that I hear. There are dogs barking all the time. There is a car or a motorcycle that is somewhere near my home that they start this car or motorcycle at 4 between 4:30 and 4:45 a.m. and it wakes me up. It is so loud. It like rattles. It doesn't bother my husband. He will sleep right through it, but for me, it really bothers me and it wakes me up. And I'm usually once I wake up, I'm not able to go back to sleep. I've even gotten earplugs and the earplugs help. They're the ones that they're not the traditional like orange plugs. They are these earplugs that they reduce the decibels of sound and whatnot, and they help a lot, but it can't completely drown it out. So I've got sirens, airplanes, um, dogs barking, this loud car that wakes me up at least 3 times a week. Um, we've got car alarms. We've got now the Latino man that pushes or there's more than one, but they push these carts down the street and they blow these horns that sound like bicycle horns to let people know that they're coming. Like that's what they do instead of like the ice cream truck, how the ice cream truck has the musical s- the song or whatever going on, they just squeeze this horn several times to let people know they're coming down the street. Um, we have occasional gunshots. I live in the city. We do hear them, but we have the everyday fireworks. I don't know what it is about this area, but people seem to do fireworks year round. And I thought that it was maybe because fireworks were legal in Inglewood, but I've recently seen a sign up that said that fireworks are illegal. So I don't know when that happened, but they used to be legal. So they're not even legal here now, but people are doing fireworks like all hours of the morning. I think this morning it was maybe 4 in the morning and I heard fireworks go off. And a lot of times the fireworks are like the ones that sound like, I mean, like they sound like an explosion. Like people are posting in the like neighbors app, what was that? It sounded like an explosion. It's usually people who are new to the neighborhood because I think we're all kind of like we are familiar with the fireworks, but they have recently gotten louder and more intense. These are definitely illegal fireworks. And you hear like a little squeal before, and then it's a big, sounds like an explosion. And sometimes it even like rattles a bit. So there is much ado around here about just noise. And it is hard to just sit in silence. And I feel like my nervous system is overwhelmed. I already have a lot of sensitivities because of my neurodivergence, and it's really affecting my well-being now. And so I'm having trouble sleeping. I thought, okay, well, maybe it's just because I'm going through perimenopause. I'm a woman of a certain age. So maybe it's the perimenopause. And I'm sure that that's a contributing factor. But I think just all the busyness and all the sounds of the city are just really, really overwhelming me. And it's creating a lot of anxiety. And, there's probably a lot of cortisone and adrenaline running through my body that shouldn't be there. One major thing that happened that made me take notice is that when we were in Santa Barbara, I slept like a baby. I slept to about until about 8 a.m. one morning, which almost like never happens here. Never happens, especially if I went to bed at a decent hour. I never sleep to 8 a.m. unless I take some sort of medication or sleep aid of some type. And so, I had no problem sleeping. I woke up earlier the next morning, but I didn't wake up like at 4 or 5 a.m. I think it was after 6, but I don't even remember waking up in the middle of the night to go to the restroom, which is something that I normally do at home. And I'll wake up like several times. And I thought it was maybe just I have to use the bathroom, which I do, but sometimes I can sleep through it. Like I slept through it in Santa Barbara, but I think it's just that my mind is just racing here. There is so much stimulation and I feel overstimulated. And there's just, there's always something to do. There's something to do, an email to respond to. I mean, just so many things. And I feel like I am in the busyness of busyness right now. Like I'm busy being busy. I don't really feel like I'm doing things with any sort of purpose or intention. It's just like, these are the things that I have to do because I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a homeschooler, I am the CEO of my household. Unofficially, but I like to say that. Um, I'm the one who runs the house. My husband is the one who keeps the house standing because he goes to work and pays for everything. And I'm the one who does all the administrative tasks to keep the lights on and that sort of thing. Of course, he has, you know, paid to keep the lights on, but I'm the one who pays the bills and does all that. So, there's just a lot. There's just a lot. And I think that going on vacation, no matter how small, like just getting away for a couple of days and just being in nature, really allows one to just reset and recenter. I was sitting on our balcony in Santa Barbara and I was just looking at the insects. I was looking at, there were, a few, jasmine vines that they're growing. I don't know if they're gonna grow. They're on a, what is it, a trellis or something? I don't know. They're growing. I guess they're gonna shape them into something at some point. But I was looking at the bees going in the flowers and just looking at the little insects traveling, and I was just paying attention to the sounds, and I was looking at the mountain, and I was so present. It was really, really quiet. I mean, there was a bit of a undertone of, you could just hear the static sound of traffic because we weren't far from the freeway. And I honestly didn't even know we were that close to the freeway until we were like driving around. I was like, oh, there's the freeway. I didn't realize we were so close because it is so quiet, but I could just kind of hear the undertone, just the static sound of the freeway. But there were no like major car sounds. There weren't car alarms. I was just really present that morning on the balcony, and I was just writing in my journal, and I was just so happy to be there, and I just felt carefree and just like more intentional, like the way that life should be. Just being able to appreciate the nature and beauty around me. And I mean, this balcony is over a parking lot, so it's not even like, it's some grand, I don't know, garden, but just the little bit that I had there, I was able to just be present in that and to appreciate it. So, once I came back home, like once we weren't even home yet. Once we drove back into the city, it was just like anxiety, like, just immediately, just the traffic, the cars, the blowing the horns, the everybody swooping in and out and cutting you off, and I mean, it really does something to one's nervous system. I mean, I think we just kind of ignore it and allow it and just accept it as, oh, this is normal. But it's not normal. And everyone doesn't behave like this. Everyone doesn't, live in this type of environment. And while it is a great privilege to be able to live in a home in Los Angeles, at the same time, I feel very disadvantaged in terms of my peace. Yes, I live in a home that we own or we mortgage when, today a lot of people cannot even afford to buy homes here. I recognize that privilege, but I am also saying that I recognize all the crap that comes with it. And there are beautiful things in the city. There are. But there are some things that are inescapable. I cannot pick up my house and move it to another neighborhood and move it to another city. So I'm just talking about where I live and the things that are here that I'm realizing are no longer serving me. And it feels like the universe is sending me a sign. It has been sending me a sign for a very long time that it is time to go. And I've made many plans to leave, and somehow or another, those plans end up not working out. But I'm still looking, I'm still trying. I've even just found a new way that I may be able to get out of here. I have two separate plans that I'm looking at, but one involves me, again, going back to selling my home. And so it's like I'm being beat over the head with like, it's time to go. You need to sell your house, you need to move. And at the same time, there's a sense of safety there. This is all that we've known. My husband and I moved into an apartment when we were engaged, and we lived there for 9 months before we moved into our home. And we've been in our home ever since then, just shortly after we got married. And now it's to the point where, buying another home in Los Angeles doesn't really seem affordable, and it doesn't seem like it makes sense. Even carrying over equity that we have from our home, we're going to pay more money because we will have to buy a house that costs more money, which inevitably means that, our insurance will be more. It means that our taxes will be more. I mean, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And while we've been holding on to the home, and like every time that we have tried to get an escape plan or an exit plan that involves us selling the house, somehow at the last minute it falls through, or we retreat like, oh, we're afraid because if we sell our house and it doesn't work out, then we have nowhere else to go, in terms of like, we've sold our home. Now we'd have to find something else, maybe have to rent. We might have to pay more for rent than we pay for our home, which does not seem very attractive. But at the same time, my home is getting so uncomfortable that I no longer want to live here. So it's like the universe is literally like beating me over the head. Like, you need to go. Take the leap of faith and figure it out. Because no matter what happens, you don't even want to live here anymore. So I am really, really trying to receive this message and to honor what is inside of me, to live in peace every day, to be in a place where I feel safe, where I feel secure, where there is beauty surrounding me, where there is not just so much noise around me. It is constant noise. I mean, just yesterday, the neighbor's dog was barking. And I mean, not just like barking. I mean, this is a big dog, and it was barking like at least 2 barks per second. It was ridiculous. The dog was barking like that for like 20 minutes, and I was trying to relax. I had opened the doors to my patio so I could just look outside. I was lying in the bed, but I wanted to have the doors open so I could just kind of look out and just kind of enjoy the fresh air. But the dog was barking so much. I had to close the doors. Then I had to turn on music, and I was trying to read, actually. I was reading and I was listening to an audiobook at the same time. And the book is Bella Figura, if you're interested. I'm reading that with the book club, with a group that I belong to, and we're doing a book right now. So I'm reading that book, and this book is all about like making everything in your life beautiful, and just making everything around you, everything that you do beautiful. And I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna open my balcony doors, and I'm going to move. There was this what do you call it? I forgot what you call it, but there's this thing that we put on the balcony when it's raining, so that just to make sure that the water doesn't seep in. So I moved that cover out the way because it's this big blue like plastic looking thing, and I was like, that's not beautiful. Let me move that out of the way. And I made everything just so nice, and I'm lying in the bed and I'm trying to read my book and listen to it at the same time, and this dog is just barking incessantly. And so I had to get up. I was so annoyed. I had to get up, and I closed the doors. I had to turn on music, like in addition to the audio that I'm listening to. And I had to turn the music all the way up so that it would drown out the sound of the dog barking. And then I'm trying to listen to my book and read. I had to put on headphones to listen to my book and read it. And I'm just thinking, like, this is ridiculous. It's the middle of the day, and I'm just trying to read my book and enjoy the nice fresh air and enjoy the little bit of a view that I have. And I'm not even able to do that. Again, it feels like the universe is beating me over the head. Like, it's time to go. It's time to go. You are not even able to enjoy simple pleasures like reading a book without being disturbed with a ton of noise. Then there was a car alarm that went off. And it's just it is becoming so uncomfortable to be here that it's at the point where people say, like, when you fear something. So the fear has been, okay, selling my house, moving to another country. As much as I want to move to the other country, We're still sort of afraid of selling the house. What happens in between? And if it doesn't work out, we no longer have a house. Like, what will we do? We just don't know. We don't know life without having, our safety net. But what happens when the fear is no longer the main issue? It's like where the uncomfortability outweighs the fear. And at that point, it's like it's a no-brainer. Like it's really time to go. Things are really intensifying where it's getting more and more uncomfortable to be here. And so it's signing or signaling to me that it's time to go and that it is time to follow my desires. It is time to live a life of intention, to live a life of beauty, to live a life that I deserve, the life that I want. We all deserve to have the life that we want. And no matter what your income scale is, you can probably achieve that on some level. Now, I know everyone is different. Everyone is in a different financial bracket, and I'm not at all discounting that there are certain people that are going through hard times, people that live in countries that they cannot leave. I I understand that and I recognize that. I'm just speaking to maybe my audience of the people around me, the people that are here. I think that people, even friends who may be in debt, like if you live in America, it's already such a privilege to be here and you have so much at your disposal. And it can sometimes be easier than we think it is to pick up and go somewhere else. And maybe you can't leave the country, but maybe you can go to another state or another city. I know we particularly have been here because my husband works in an industry where we have needed to be here. There are only certain places, only certain cities that he can work in unless he's working internationally. So we've had to be here. But I am ready to move on. I think that the comfortability of sitting here in what is a false sense of security has really become quite uncomfortable. The life that I desire, no matter where it is, even if it's just another city, of living somewhere where I feel like I'm in peace and there people are moving at a slower pace, where people are, walking down the street and driving sensibly, not cutting you off and creating near accidents every day. Um, like, I just feel like I deserve to live in a place like that. I think it's time for a reset. And so, I mean, just even being able to sleep. So, they say that time is a precious commodity, but I'll add to that. I think one that's even just almost as important as time is sleep. Sleep is a precious commodity. And sleep dictates how the time that you spend, well, what the quality is of the time that you spend. So you may have the time, but let's say you didn't get sleep. So for me, I'm having a lot of trouble sleeping. I have a lot of restless nights. So I could have all the time in the world the next day, but the quality of my time is degraded because I'm tired. I'm exhausted. So being in a place where I'm able to sleep, where I just have peace of mind, that is a very precious commodity, almost important as time. Went off on a bit of a tangent here, didn't have a script, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about just resetting, but it turned into this other discussion that is connected in a way. But just take some time to reflect today and think about how you can reset, how you can make your life more beautiful and more peaceful. And if you don't have money to get away, how can you maybe create like maybe some type of scenario where you are able to carve out some time in nature and just enjoy peace, lay out in the sun, go to the beach, go to a beautiful library, tea garden, somewhere where you can just have some sort of peace. And when you come home, you can rest easy. So just think about that. Time for a reset, time to live and move towards desire. It's time to rest, time to sleep, time to live intentionally. So take care. And until next time, ciao.